Hi. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the world event with ISIS and things going on in France, their war on the rest of the world. I usually stay out of political things in general, but being an immigrant, people ask me about talk to me about it. So I figure it must be a big enough topic for me to, I guess, state my opinion. Um, Mind you, this is only my opinion. Um, when I served as a United States Marine, I served through Desert Storm, and President Clinton didn't go invade Iraq when he pushed the Iraqis back. Something to do with the laws that prevented it at the time. Um, but President Bush did, and President Obama came along during that operation and took over the reins, and it is where it is today. So, based on my study of history, my understanding of human psychology, Iraq was already in a civil war. It may have been passive because one group was already dominant. I think the Sunnis were already dominant over the Shiites. But you had two groups of Muslim faiths that's at civil war with each other. There was no way any outside source could go in there and tell them to chill out. In the United States Civil War, no other country came in and say, "Hey, y'all, chill out." They had to address that themselves. If you look at India, for instance, when Gandhi was fighting his passive war against the British, right after they won their freedom from the British, well, not right after, but during that, there was always a little bit of a struggle internally between the Hindus and the Muslims, and they resolved that issue peacefully by creating Pakistan and Bangladesh as Muslim countries separate from India. Now, that is where I thought, maybe like in the first stages of ISIS, because they were moving like, as an organization, were moving like a government. They were conquering areas and establishing like schools, some infrastructure. I guess putting some laws into place. I didn't really follow it that closely, but based on what I've read, they were doing certain things like that. They were taking up oil resources, which I still don't know who's buying that stuff. Who's buying their oil to fund this stuff? And they stayed fairly internally, but since they've started waging war on the rest of the world, especially through Europe, which seems to be the easiest way to go, so they're taking the path of least resistance and claiming a lot of the responsibility for a lot of the atrocities. It changed the way I think about the group, in that they are at war with the rest of the world, and it's not like a political war; it's a religious war. And in my opinion, religious wars are the worst kind of war, because people are willing to die for their belief, kind of a kamikaze type thing. And even though they believe religious people serve a god of laws, there are no laws dictating how they treat other human beings. It's their way or death type thing. And most religions, have peaceful elements, parts of it, and talk about peace and all that stuff. And most people that follow religious beliefs are typically peaceful. and little pockets of radicals in every religion. However, the downside to all that is that the majority of passive or true religious people do absolutely nothing to control the radical people. And this is what's happening now. There's a radical group of people disrupting their own people in the name of God and scattering them. And in the process of scattering them, they're using Sun Tzu's art of war tactics by hiding spies within those refugees and having them being transported to various parts of the world, infiltrating and executing whatever plans they have in place for massive, senseless destruction. So my take on ISIS is that they are at war with the world, and it's not a political war, it's a religious war. And us taking in refugees in the United States or elsewhere in the world, to me, it's not a good idea for two reasons. One, the people that's running, the true refugees that's running, they're running away from a bad situation, but in reality, they'd rather live in their own country. They're not like a typical immigrant like myself or like my mom, who came here looking for a better life. She wasn't escaping war or watching her whole family get killed. She was just looking for a better economic situation for ourselves. So in that regard, we migrated here. Whereas refugees are trying to escape a bad situation, but in reality, they'd rather be there and make their situation there better. And that's how it should be. Because had there not been war, none of those people would have wanted to leave. And if we really, really want to help from an economic and social standpoint, it's better to help them there in their country. How we go about doing that, I really don't know, because the global scope of all that is probably left to the United Nations. But some of the superpowers in the world need to get together and address the issues, because ISIS is doing some Hitler-esque, and I say Hitler-esque because Hitler kind of lashed out of the world and tried to conquer that race genocide, the supreme race genocide type thing he was trying to create. He believed it so much he thought he didn't have kids because he thought he was tainted. That's how much he believed this stuff, But ISIS, they're working in a different sphere that poses more difficulty, because it's not a traditional war, and they're attacking the Russians, they're attacking the French. Eventually they'll probably make another attempt here in the United States. I hope that doesn't occur, but it seems like their impatience, which is good, in that they're doing erratic things and not completely thought out, patient things that can yield the most damage. And I have a few ideas that could be more damaging, but I will not post that, just in case the ISIS, or who I will call the enemy, decides to look at my video and say, "Oh, that's a really good idea. We should use that," type thing. But there are ways, and they're already using Sun Tzu's art of war tactics, and there are other ways that they could be more devastating with their infiltration. And hopefully the U.S. government is aware, or any government or people is aware of that possibility. I agree with a lot of the governors that don't want to take in any more any refugees. I don't agree necessarily with their reasoning behind it. Better be safe than sorry reasoning. But I believe it's the best thing to do. The solution, however, is, which is not, you're not hearing, is that, if we really want to help those people, we need to help them in their country. And those who really want to migrate, they're gonna build themselves up and create the means themselves to travel to the country they want to go to. And in that process, they need to be vetted as well. If I wanted to travel and I look a certain way, I expect the stereotype, and I can live with that. That's better be safe than sorry, because when my cousin was in Iraq, on the front line, they checked everybody out. Marines are not trained to be nice. We're trained to kill or be killed. And if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. So if we see somebody walking up on us, we're not going to, in a war situation, we're not going to be nice. And I will support and defend any soldier that are not in a war situation, because we have people that love us too, and we got to come home too. And if somebody is willing to kill themselves, they don't love nothing. In my opinion, they have nobody that they love. They have nothing that they love. They don't even love their own life. And the people that's killing themselves aren't the ones making, aren't the leaders. The real fanatics are not leaders. The leaders are smart. They're not out there doing the crazy stuff or the stupid stuff. It's their idiotic followers that's doing that. And in the name of Allah and or the revere the Prophet Muhammad, and I've read his work, and it's not bad work. It's good work. The information is solid. When you read the Quran, it's not. It's just a different perspective. The same traditions as the Jews' traditions, just from a different point of view. And so there's nothing really wrong with the work. It's just how people interpret it and twist it. But if you're willing to kill somebody over someone who's been dead for 2,000 years or so, that's a little extreme. People talk about Jesus and all this stuff, and you even had the Last Temptation of Christ, where the church was against it, but it didn't go on a rampage killing people that saw the movie. So hopefully you'll like the video, subscribe, ask comments, leave comments, or ask questions, specific questions in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. You all have a good day.